Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Brandon Blakney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV, with another banger for y'all this week. Now, if you tuned in the past 2 weeks, we've continued to have dope content, dope guests, covering a variety of things from college football to high school football to prep basketball, college basketball, NBA, and beyond. So we're going to keep that up, man, with no further ado. Big news came to not the Triad, but North Carolina in general. The kid, the legend, Mikey Williams, the superstar in high school right now, announced he is coming to North Carolina, the Charlotte area, going to be at Lake Norman Christian. So that's going to be interesting, man. We got a great guest for y'all lined up. First off, starting things off with my guy, Jamie Shaw, the absolute basketball experience, to talk about this move, and also to speak on Carter Witt signing to Wake Forest. Wake Forest adds another stud in the backcourt. So we'll break down his game a little bit and chop it up about some other prospects as well with Jamie. So with no further ado, man, I appreciate y'all locking in. Let's get to it.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakney.
Jamie, what's up, my man?
Brandon, how you doing, man? Yeah, absolutely, man. Heck of an intro there, man. Your energy is unmatched. That's awesome. So I'm gonna try to bring it for you.
Hey, man, I got to bring the energy because I got these dope guests I've been lining up. So I appreciate you joining me. I know you're a wealth of knowledge, and there are a few guys that see as much hoops as you do at this level out here, man. You are at every tournament, it seems like, no discrimination. You're seeing guys at all kinds of events. So I definitely wanted to get you on to speak about your experiences, but also, man, you guys are really making some traction on YouTube, really been killing it in a short amount of time, man. Tell us what's going on with that, bro.
Well, I appreciate that, Brandon. Yeah, no, it's trying to just come out and give as much basketball knowledge as possible. So the YouTube channel, it's kind of a litany of different avenues that we're going down. We're doing highlights and mixtapes, but we're also doing film breakdowns of players, of prospects that are getting recruited. We're doing interviews with college coaches. We had Mike Rhodes from VCU. We had Steve Forbes. We had Jeff Capel. We've had, all kinds of interviews with that. We've had player interviews, both at the collegiate level and the high school level going on there, commitment interviews and all that type of stuff too. So the absolute basketball experience on YouTube is really just me using my network to try to inform the casual basketball fan as much as possible about things that are going on.
Now, you mentioned Coach Steve Forbes. These guys have been in the news, just recently picked up a major commitment with a player that you're very familiar with, somebody we've both seen play multiple times, and that's Carter Witt. For guys and fans of Wake Forest that may not be familiar with the 2021 class and what Carter Witt brings, break down his game for us and what kind of impact could he make? What does a potential Davian Williamson and Carter Witt backcourt, what could that look like?
Well, the first and foremost, what Carter Witt brings to the table is an unparamounted amount of swag. The guy just has that it factor about him, that charismatic, not really charismatic per se, but just that it factor about him that draws attention in. He's the type of person that you watch and he's polarizing because you watch him and you want to hate on him. And you want to do all this type of stuff, but then he goes out and just serves buckets and gets wins. If you remember last year, the Millbrook High School team, who had sent a kid to Arizona State, Louisville, New Mexico, and all that type of stuff. Well, Carter Witt's team beat him 3 times that last season. He's just got that it factor about him. Now, toward his game, he's about 6'3". He's got great length, but he really sees the floor at a high level. He's got a change of pace that gets him to his spots where he wants to go. But then he's got the court vision and the awareness to be able to create an angle and get a pass off, either, a basic chest pass or behind the head pass, behind the back, whatever the case may be. It gets the pass through to his teammates for open looks all over the floor. He does it in transition. He does it in the half court. He just sees the game at a different type of level than most people do. And he doesn't do it with crazy athleticism. He doesn't do it with all this type of stuff. It's all like a lazy flowing game that he has. Not to say that he's lazy, but just kind of the feel that his game has. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's got 20 points, you know, 11 assists, a couple rebounds, and you've lost the game. You know, and then he's got just an incredible head of hair. The hair
he does have the flow going.
I tell you, man, the hair thing will be a huge marketing factor for him, man. I mean, once this NIL stuff starts coming, man, you think Perk Plus and Suave, just like Troy Polamalu had and all that stuff, man. But you know, it's kind of his thing. He's got that overall just a very, you know, just a very charismatic feel to him.
Now, looking at what Wake Forest already has in place, I don't think it's been officially announced if Davian's going to play or not, as well as Isaiah Wilkins transferring there. They have a couple pieces signed as well. One guy from South Carolina, McCray, that I know you're familiar with as well, Robert McCray. What can these guys, you think, as far as interchangeable parts, how do these guys fit together? And, you know, what void are they feeling that Wake Forest is needing right now?
Well, when it comes to Carter Witt, what you have there is you have a player you can build around. You have a player that's going to be the centerpiece for however long he's going to be there. You're going to have players that want to play with him, and he's going to make the team better. So you have your centerpiece that you're going to build around. And then coming from there, you have Davion Williamson, who came over from East Tennessee State. He knows what Steve Forbes wants. He had success under Steve Forbes already. He's coming home to play. He's going to be extra motivated and all that type of stuff to play at home, play well, and play for his coach. You know, so he brings that. Two things that Davion Williamson has is he's a shot maker and he's got incredibly quick hands. So on defense, the defensive end of the floor, he's going to know what Forbes wants, how to play, and all that type of stuff. And the most valuable asset you can have as a basketball player is the ability to create and make shots. And I think Davion Williamson has that. You might look at him and be like, oh, he's skinny, he's whatever the case may be, but he's able to make shots, and that's an incredibly valuable piece in basketball as a whole. For Robert McCray, he is exactly what Steve Forbes likes. I want to be longer. I want to be more athletic than you are. Robert McCray has incredible length, and he's incredibly explosively athletic. So he brings that to the table. He'll come in, he'll develop. He can play a little bit on the ball. He can play a little bit off the ball. You know, but he's a South Carolina guy. Two of the coaches on the South Carolina or on the Wake Forest staff, BJ Mackey and Brooke Savage, are both from South Carolina, both from the Columbia area. They go way back with Robert's family and everything like that too. So he brings kind of while Davion brings more shot making ability, Robert McCray brings the raw tools that Steve Forbes thrives with the athleticism and all that stuff. And then Chico, he's just you never think he's gonna, you know, he's a gamer. He's a gamer. That's the best way to put it.
Big body makes shots.
Yeah,
man.
I'm about to say, you look at him and the thing is like, who is this guy? Then all of a sudden he comes in, and every time even in the ACC at Virginia Tech, he comes in and makes. When he was with CP3 on the AAU circuit, when he was every time he comes in the game, he makes plays. He's a gamer, and all that type of stuff too. So he's going to bring that to the table, and he's got ACC experience, and he also is coming home like Davion is, so he's going to be extra motivated to show everybody. You know, when he signed with Virginia Tech coming out of high school, I think it took a lot of people kind of by surprise. Now he's able to come home and kind of, you know, who got the last laugh type of situation. And, you know, I think that those three guys that you brought up are, you know, very good pieces that Forbes can have to build around with both experience, talent, and different type of skill sets. Now,
arguably the top player, a lot of people are pushing now. I mean, it's been kind of 1A, 1B between Dontrez Styles and Jonas Adu. Now, looking at Jonas, still unsigned, is this a guy that you think Wake Forest could potentially have a chance at? Should they make a full court press at a talent like this?
Well, I think it's clear. I think Jonas Adu is the number one prospect, especially when you're looking long term and all that type of stuff. You know, different words, prospect, different from player. I think when you talk prospect, I think Jonas Adu is the clear cut number one prospect in North Carolina for this class. And I think that he's somebody that every school in the country can make a run for. I mean, he's good enough to be. You know, I've already had NBA teams call me about him to start doing the background stuff on him, and the fact that he's only 17 years old. He won't turn 18 until December. You know, even says even more. So, you know, he'll be a draft eligible guy coming out of the season, and all that. But I think Jonas Adu is the type of guy. You know, he's a legit 7 foot tall. He moves incredibly well. So he's switchable on defense. You know, with screens and all that type of stuff. He can move his hips and do all that type of stuff. And he's an elite rim protector. On top of that, he can score on the block, and he's a 40% 3-point shooter. So he's got an incredibly unique skill set to him. That, as I said, he's only 17 years old, so he's only just developing and gathering that. And I think you saw it kind of explode throughout the summer, whereas he hasn't done anything that he hasn't already been doing, but he's doing it now with confidence. He's dunking on kids. He
really.
I mean, yeah, he played head-to-head against Jabari Smith. Jabari Smith Jr., his dad played in the NBA. His dad went to LSU. He's a top 5 player in the country. He went head-to-head against him in his last AAU game of the season a couple weeks ago in Rock Hill, and outplayed him. They won by 20 points. Jonas had a double-double with 5 or 6 block shots, and held Jabari, I believe, to 11 or so. And it was, he just outplayed him, got the win, and did all that stuff. His trajectory is he's only going to get better.
Yeah, what is the upside here? I mean, just looking at the skill set, and it seems like every year he's showing more. It seems like now he's getting a little bit more comfortable kind of getting it off the dribble. He's not terrified to put it on the floor. He's shooting 40+% from the three-point line. Like you said, his defensive loan and rebounding probably will get him on a college floor minus the scoring.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think you can look at Jonas Adu right now and think that he's going to be in college 2 years tops, a probable one-and-done guy if he continues to go the way he's going. Last year for his high school team at Voyager Academy, I mean, they lost, I believe, 4 games. He averaged 3 blocks and shot 42% from 3 on the season. And to do that at 16-year-old, 7 foot tall, the sky's the limit. Like I said, you have to take him right now, expect him to be in college 2 years tops. And then probably if he continues to progress, it'll probably be sooner than that he comes out.
Now, staying with the ACC, because I also want to talk to you about some of these USC guys. I know you Gamecock Nation, baby. I know it. But I want to talk a little bit about the other side. Clemson. I know you don't like them, but they do.
I love Clemson, man.
Commitment.
I love
basketball.
Clemson, man.
I know you love Clemson basketball.
I do, man. Brad's an awesome guy, and Antonio Dean and Anthony Goins is my guy. Dick Bender, that's an awesome staff, and the Clemson basketball is a great place to be.
And you've been up on some of the prospects they've recruited. I know you recently released a highlight tape of a guy that they just signed out of Grayson. Tell us about that. What they're getting in 2021 prospects. 6'8", 225 pounds. Just blew up this summer. Yeah, so Ian Shefflin is a guy that I think that they found a lot of success with, looking at what Amir Sims ended up being, throughout his career at Clemson. He's going to be kind of their leader, their catalyst. He'll probably be the NBA guy coming out of next year and stuff. I know he submitted for the draft this year and came back. Well, that role has been kind of cemented, and then Ian Shefflin is kind of going into that role coming next, or the hope is. He's a gritty, tough 6'8" kind of blue collar player who can stretch the floor and shoot the 3. He'll battle underneath for rebounds. He talks all kinds of trash, throws his body around. Just a tough blue collar guy that Brad Brownell has had so much success with. A guy that might have been a little bit overlooked coming out of high school, and then just developed, got better, got stronger. And he's already got the skill set. He's already athletic enough. He's already got all that type of stuff. Then think of him coming in at 225. He put on 20 pounds immediately, be 240, able to shoot the 3, dunking on people and all that type of stuff too. Just a workhorse. He's probably not going to be as skilled necessarily as Amir Sims, but he's also somebody too that Amir Sims kind of carved that path for him, and it'll be very interesting to see. Maybe even Hunter Tyson, those type of guys. Yeah. In that same 4-man type of role, the skilled player who's gritty, that Brad Brownell's had success with, and they've had a lot of wins with it. And Ian fits that role. Clemson was his first Power 5 offer coming into that. I mean, he had like Richmond and all that stuff, but Clemson was the first Power 5, the first one to jump in. First love, man. It's always the first love. And then Virginia Tech kind of jumped in after the fact and all that type of stuff too. But Clemson kind of had it there. Antonio Reynolds Dean did a great job recruiting them, did a great job closing it down, and they made it happen. Speaking of recent success on the recruitment trail for Clemson, a guy that we've seen compete really hard a bunch of times in a bunch of different settings, PJ Hall, a major grab for them. Yep. I think a lot of people really thought, he was strongly considering Florida, has a sister that went out there. Clemson reeled him in. Yeah, no, Clemson was the local school, the hometown school, and all that type of stuff. He's another one who kind of fits that same bill.
a gritty, tough player who's skilled. But, if you watch PJ play, he wears knee pads because he's all over the floor, diving for 50-50 balls and doing the tough guy stuff. And then he's also making shots and dunking on kids and doing all that type of stuff too. But, he just has that gritty persona about him that Brad Brownell players have to have. If you're not tough, you're not going to play. And he wants to come in and beat you up and have a little bit of skill while you're doing it. And PJ Hall fits right into that mold. I think he's a definite top 75 player in the country. I think he ended up top 50 maybe by a couple services by the end of the thing. Also, too, looking at it, PJ Hall won 4 straight state championships in high school. Well, I think it was 3. I can't remember if he was on the team as a freshman, but 4 straight state championships coming out of Dorman. Yep. They were a top 5 team in the country last year. A public school South Carolina team was top 5 in the country last year. Nuts. Yeah, they beat Huntington Prep and all these other schools and all that type of stuff.
We're gonna host the Geico for a minute.
Exactly, and that would have been crazy. But yeah, and if you've ever been down to Dorman's facility, my gracious, that thing's gorgeous. It's better than some college facilities with the arena. It holds over 5,000. It's got the jumbotron and all that stuff there. But yeah, PJ's used to winning. PJ's a local kid who's accustomed to winning. He's been the leader of the team that everybody knows about. And it'll go from there.
Now, looking at another stud heading into North Carolina or South Carolina, going to the Gamecocks. I know, and I definitely want to talk about some teams too. Looking out for, I know Legacy Early College is definitely going to be one to watch in South Carolina. These guys led by Jacoby Wright heading to South Carolina, your alma mater. Is this the type of guard that Mr. Frank, Coach Frank is needing right now? And I know they still have another guy that we were high on, Trey Hannibal.
Yeah, so kind of what Jacoby Wright brings to the table for Frank Martin is consistency and efficiency. Frank, throughout his tenure, even going back to Kansas State, he has not necessarily had efficient play at the point guard position. I don't think he's ever had a point guard who shot above 42% from the field. In his tenure as a head coach. What Jacoby brings is efficiency. He'll take care of the ball. He'll play tough-ass defense, and he'll make his shot and do all that type of stuff as well. And he's an in-state kid. He's incredibly underrated. I feel he's a top 100 type of prospect in the country. But he's got a toughness about him, but it's a quiet toughness. It's not the going out like, Colin Sexton, like flexing on, all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a quiet toughness to where he just exudes confidence. He bleeds that throughout the team. He's kind of one of those guys as to where, oh, Jacoby's got the ball, we're going to be fine. Yeah. Exactly. And the team feeds off of that. The team gets a ton of wins. Jacoby shoots the cover off the ball. He's got quick hands on defense, knows how to play defense, takes care of the ball, doesn't turn it over very much. And once he gets in that strength and conditioning program, he'll put the weight on, and he'll be SEC ready pretty quick.
You think he has a shot to play year one?
I think he has a shot to play, yes. Will he start? Probably not. Let's see. So coming off of that year, they'll have Jermaine Cousinard should still be there. Trey Hannibal should still be there and stuff. I mean, there's a slot there for him, depending on what they do with the what they do with the rest of this class or whatever, if they get a transfer or whatever, because they'll have Seventh Woods who's graduating. Mm-hmm. But there'll be a spot there for him to play. It just depends on how quickly he picks up the system and how much weight he puts on.
Now, he still has another year of high school left, and I believe in some of the early polls, Legacy is a top 10 preseason team right now, bringing a lot of talent. Mm-hmm. Who are some teams, Legacy, of course, speak on them a little bit, some of the guys that are new, some new faces they got down there, but also I know especially Bryce McGowan's was one that is down there now, Florida State commit that had a big summer. Legacy and a few other teams, who should we be on the lookout for with this season? I know it's a few months away, but, fall ball's underway, and it's going to be here before we know it. Man.
Are you talking overall Carolinas?
Yeah, because okay. I know you're in both Carolinas.
So I'll start with the Legacy team. As you said, Bryce McGowan's, he came in at 23 or 24 in the most recent rankings. Florida State commitment. He's just a smooth guard. I think smooth is the best way to describe it. He can play on and off the ball. He shoots the cover off of it. Got great length. He's athletic. His brother Trey just transferred from Pittsburgh to Nebraska, so he's got that kind of pedigree and stuff. His mom's the women's basketball coach at Wren. Dad's a football coach and stuff. So he's got that thing about him. But he's just a smooth player. You got Jacoby, obviously. You got Tyreek Priestley, a 6'8" player who played with Upward Stars this summer. He's a Division I guy. Mm-hmm. Should be get some stuff. Perry Smith Jr., He's a 2022 prospect, 6'8". He's a top 150 guy in the country. He's got schools like Marquette and South Carolina, DePaul offers and all that type of stuff as well. Run and jump type of big, kind of a rim running, can move his feet type of big. And then you have Ike Cornish, who's a smooth shooting guy. He's a top 100 guy. I think he's in the 80s range, committed to Maryland. He's reminiscent, to bring it back to the triad. He's very similar to an Aaron Wiggins type of player with his game.
That.
So and he's going to Maryland to kind of play the Aaron Wiggins type of role too. So they're a stacked team. They always will be. BJ Jackson does an incredible job. As for some more teams in South Carolina to kind of look for, watch out for Blythewood High School.
I've been hearing some stuff about them.
Yeah, man, led by Julian Phillips. They 6'8". He's a top 30 player in the country. He's a small forward. They also have Emmanuel Richard. They have a whole bunch of other players there as well. Zeke Washington does a great job with that group. Julian Phillips is in for a huge breakout season. I mean, this game just continues.
That's your guy. I know I've seen the film, man. Break it down. I know a lot of guys are high. You were high on him really early. I remember even seeing him in the top 80s back in like 8th grade back then.
Yeah. Yep. And then let's see, Ridgeview High School. They're going for a 4th straight state championship as well. Tyler Rice is their point guard. William and Mary commit. He will be in line to win a 4th straight state championship this year in the 4A if it comes about. And they just remain stacked and loaded. Yerrick Stoneman does a great job with that program as well. The player to watch for in South Carolina is Cam Scott.
Okay.
Lexington High School. Young buck. He was in 8th grade last year. He played varsity. He actually made 5A All-State as an 8th grader last year in South Carolina. He's only gotten better. 6'5" wing, can score, can do it all on the floor and everything too. Some people call him reminiscent of Chris Middleton. So who's also who's also a South Carolina native and everything too. So he's the player to kind of watch in the state. Coming up to North Carolina, I think the team to watch, I think the team that should be, on paper preseason number 1, Liberty Heights, out of Charlotte. They have, Jonas Adu, whom we talked about earlier. They also have a wing, PJ Edwards, 6'4" guy, came in from Minnesota Prep last year. Elite defender, can shoot the ball. Elijah Jamison.
How does he fit with this group? I was really interested about that transfer kid from Lewisburg.
Yeah, so he
doing a lot.
They're making him a true point guard. In years past, he's kind of had to do a lot of stuff, scoring the ball. While he's primarily played on the ball, his attention's been toward attacking the basket and scoring. Well, head coach Mike Wright at Liberty Heights is kind of breaking his game down in order to teach him to make reads. He's always been able to touch the paint. He's always had toughness and stuff. Now he's learning to touch the paint and make a read, whether that be go to the basket, whether it be floater, whether it be kick it out, whether it be, keep going and come all the way out through, whatever it is. His game is really developing. And even over this summer, over these last 2 months, you could really see a different mentality. He was playing with the team loaded North Carolina, Team Eat, with a ton of talent around him. And he took on every matchup head on. There's going to be a learning curve there and all that type of stuff too. But the early returns are really good with him. And they have Isaac Farah coming out as well, 6'9" kid from Indiana. So they should be very interesting. But Winston-Salem Christian, whom I can't remember if it was on air or off air. We spoke about earlier. They're going to be really good.
Oh yeah,
Combine Academy is going to be really fun to watch as well. And as for the public schools, they don't get started until January or whatever. But we can't forget about them. Excited to see in the East. I mean, you always have Farmville Central. You always have South Granville with Bobby Pettiford. I'm really, really interested to see what Reidsville does this year with Breon Pass. I believe he's got some unfinished business to take care of and all that type of stuff too. So it'll be fun to see. Then the Fayetteville teams, you can't forget them.
Oh yeah.
Down there, Tremaine Parker at Cape Fear, and then down in Charlotte, you have North Mech, who's always going to be good. You have Independence, you have Cox Mill, teams that have really been on runs and tears lately. So we're in North Carolina, man. It's the hoop state for a reason. Tobacco Road, basketball runs deep. There's talent all over the place, and there's schools that I didn't even mention just now. Who are going to be ones to watch for: Millbrook High School, Carmel Christian, Greensboro Day.
I'm very interested in seeing them too. Red Dunton making that move to Millbrook. I think that'll be a really interesting as well.
I think it will too. Red Dunton and Eric Vanderhygen. Add in Silas Demery as well, who had a heck of a summer. I mean, that's going to be an interesting team to watch.
And I think you made a great point too, man. A lot of people, I think a lot of the critics on Elijah Jameson talk about, how they feel that, he hasn't been as efficient as he has been. He's had the ball a lot in his hands. He had to do a lot for his team. Seeing him, surrounded with other guys that can make plays where he can just get the ball out, I'm very interested to see how that looks as well.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be good returns. I mean, he improved incrementally every single time coming across.
Agreed.
This summer and stuff, and it'll be interesting too. And another one who did the same thing was Jamari Thomas, another Triad area kid at the Burlington School. His improvement from day one of AAU to the last game was incredible. So I'm expecting a huge year from him, and he's always going to have a chip on his shoulder too. So
definitely.
Huge year from him at the Burlington School.
Tell us about some seniors, either side of the Carolinas, a couple seniors that college coaches should be on the lookout for that have really just had a big summer, or you're thinking could just have a great breakout, or not even a breakout, but just guys that will have a big senior year coming up this year.
Let me see here. I think in South Carolina, a guy who's committed to ECU, RJ Felton, I think he's in line to have a huge senior year.
I think that was a great get, fit, get all that, man.
I do too. He fits what Joe Dooley does, just kind of the gritty, tough guy who's underrated, plays with the chip on his shoulder, always going to be in the gym. I think he's going to come. I think he's kind of pissed off at seeing a whole bunch of other people get higher than him and stuff when he knows that he's better than these guys. So I think you can see big stuff from him. And another senior in South Carolina is from North Augusta High School. Well, two of them really. One from North Augusta High School, Colin Rodriguez. I think he's somebody coaches need to pay attention to. He's an unsigned senior. He's got a Wilmington offer, 6'2", North Augusta High School. He's just a smooth scorer who's incredibly explosive. And then Bailey Wiseman out of James Island.
Oh, can pass that thing. That field.
He averaged 22 a game last year with 5 or 6 assists, and I think that he's in line to have just incredible numbers this season down at James Island. And come up to North Carolina, I think PJ Edwards. Outside of the guys that we've already mentioned, I think PJ Edwards is a guy who only has 5 or 6 offers right now. I think he's going to get some high major stuff coming forward at Liberty Heights. Another senior, we mentioned him earlier. I think Breon Pass is going to do unbelievable stuff this year.
Excited to see him, man. Just talk about a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, I think he's going to do unbelievable stuff this year. Terquavion Smith could have a big year. DeMarco Dunn. I think DeMarco Dunn still, for whatever reason, does not get the credit that he should. He's a top 3 player in the state, but people never talk about him.
It's weird.
He has the unbelievable ability to take over a game. They were 30-0 last year at Westover High School. They won the state championship. He averaged 22 a game, shot 45% from 3. He's got UNC Arizona offers, out the wazoo, and nobody talks about him. I expect him to have a huge season this year.
I'm excited, man, seeing them last year in the Big Shots MLK event. They really impressed. Now, staying with the same topic, a lot of new faces coming here. The big news is no secret. It's been talked about for a while now, but it's out there. It's official. Mikey Williams, kid from San Diego, San Ysidro, is here playing at Lake Norman. I know he's been working out with my guy Mike Russell with the CB3 Academy. He's been here getting in work. What are expectations, you think? I know we're in a state where guys are gonna come at you regardless of what the ranking is. We know that. Seeing him, year one here in the hoop state with a team that's already a talented team. Those guys are loaded already. What should realistic expectations be for this guy coming in? And also, are you looking forward to any other new faces that have touched down?
So when it comes to Mikey, I think that he's going to bring a sense of something that we have not seen before. Zion Williamson had, what that thing is fame. He's famous. Yeah. He had an incredible amount of fame to him. Zion Williamson had that kind of his senior year and all that type of stuff. But this kid's a sophomore. Theoretically, we get this for 3 years. And no matter if he does another single thing on the court, he's going to have the nation's eye, on his Instagram. He's going to have the nation's eye on YouTube and all that type of stuff, regardless of how talented he is at basketball. So I think that sense of fame in North Carolina, we've had guys come through that were North Carolina famous and all that type of stuff.
For $2.5 million, though.
That's incredible. Zion didn't even have that and everything, So that's one thing that I'm going to be super interested to see what that looks like.
Certainly.
How it looks at Lake Norman Christian,
which is nuts.
Doing that and everything. I'm going to see what type of the events look like that he's going to be in. I'm sure they're going to be going, to City of Palms. I'm sure they're going to be Hoop Hall. I'm sure they're going to be all over the place and everything. And what a cool experience that would be for his teammates.
Definitely.
And it's not like they're scrubs. Jonathan Curtis, 7-footer, he was at the Phenom this past week and got MVP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He's got multiple
big guy.
Yeah, multiple Division I offers at 7 foot tall. You got Shane Fernald, who's probably going to be a Division I player. You have AJ Allensback, who's already committed to Army Division I school. JP Haggerty is probably going to be a Division I player. Josh Bullock, probably a Division I player. Riley Allensback, 6'9", 2023 player, who probably going to end up being a scholarship level player. And then they have another guy who's going to be coming in that's going to be announced soon too, who's also a highly ranked 5-star guy too. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, because it's going to be. We have never seen in North Carolina. We've had people that are North Carolina famous, but we haven't seen this type of famous, almost like a Kardashian coming in and all that type of stuff too. And with that incredible amount of fame, you have the people that are going to critique everything you do. You're going to have the haters coming out like crazy, the boo birds, playing all over the place too. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles all of that as well, because the basketball world hasn't necessarily seen that. Like I said before, LaMelo Ball was famous, but he didn't get that way until like his senior year. Zion Williamson was famous. He didn't get that way until his senior year. To a certain extent, Mac McClung was famous, but he didn't get that way until his senior year.
Exactly.
But this kid is a sophomore in high school. He hasn't even entered his first day as sophomore. So, other than maybe Julian Newman, but Julian Newman didn't really have Instagram. Julian Newman didn't necessarily have Twitter and all that type of stuff too.
And I mean, this guy's with all the rappers. He's everywhere, man.
On the court, though, you have this thing because the 2023 class was already setting up to be a class that everybody's talking about. It was already setting up to have the Robert Dillinghams, the Aiden Holloways, the Caleb Fosters of the world, the Tremaine Parkers of the world, who are already building up their momentum. They're already building up their fame and all that type of stuff as well. Most of them picking up multiple offers already as it is. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how Mikey Williams fits in to that mix, how Mikey Williams and Robert Dillingham and Aiden Holloway and Tremaine Parker, Caleb Foster, how all those 2023 players, that's probably going to be the talk of the state. And then every single matchup that Mikey has within the state of North Carolina, I'm sure people are going to try to put him up against one of those players. So whether it be Mikey versus Tremaine, Mikey versus Aiden, Mikey versus Dillingham, Mikey versus Caleb Foster. I don't know if that'll happen because it's a public school, private school, but it'll be just interesting to see how all those take place and what that means. Because I think what we're going to have is, theoretically, again, we don't know what these people, where they're going to go and all that stuff, but theoretically, we have 3 years to figure out a pecking order. And people love to talk rankings. Who's your top 5? This. And we got 3 years to kind of figure that out, 3 years of head-to-head matchups, 3 years of camps, 3 years of talking heads to be able to get on to get on podcasts and Twitter and say this guy's better than this guy and have arguments and all that type of stuff about it too. So if anything, I think it brings something that we've never seen before. Yeah. Mixed with something that's going to have everybody's. Mikey Williams brings people who aren't basketball fans. When we had Dennis Smith a couple years ago, basketball fans loved him. If you were a basketball fan, you drove to see him. Mikey Williams brings people who aren't necessarily basketball fans. Brings them in to see it as well. So he's just something we haven't seen before.
Man, I'm excited. And like you said, that exposure, man, for those guys is invaluable. Yeah. And they're doing some great things down there in Lake Norman. Jamie, I appreciate you being on, my guy. Let them know where to find you and where they can keep up with your journey with this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So on YouTube is where a lot of my content goes. It's Absolute Basketball Experience with Jamie Shaw. You also have my podcast. You can find it on Apple. You can find it on Spotify, Absolute Basketball Experience, Jamie Shaw, as well. On Twitter, at Jamie Shaw 5, JAMIE SHAW 5. And then on Instagram, I'm at Jamie_Shaw 5.
Y'all make sure to give my guy a follow, man. In-depth basketball coverage, even get a little bit of NFL. And if you're a Gamecock fan, if you happen to be one of those, he's definitely one of the guys to follow as well. Jamie, appreciate you again, man. That's a wrap for us. Y'all make sure to hit that subscribe button. You dig?